All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Market Close. We are starting off 2026 early, baby, on The Market Close. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We've got a lot to talk about today, a lot of stuff going on. In about 20 minutes, we will have a special guest join the show as well. We will get their thoughts on what's been going on around the markets, stocks, JPOW, all that good stuff. But we have a decent amount to discuss. Folks, the S&P 500 is basically hitting all-time highs. I mean, it is at all-time highs right here, 695. We did get to 696 at one point earlier in the day. SPX is, less than 0.5% away from S&P 7,000, so it would be quite incredible to see if we get there. What's leading the S&P to make this momentum? Well, it's not SoFi, and it's not Meta, although we got some pretty important headlines on Meta that we'll talk about right now. It looks like it's the financials, which I know are having a tough day today, but overall year-to-date have not done too bad, and the healthcare names. Eli Lilly, Johnson & Johnson, a lot of these names. Eli Lilly setting up an entire partnership with NVIDIA today that has really helped it. $1 billion invested into drug discovery. NVIDIA right there, 185.54. NVIDIA got all the way to 187. That's now giving back some of the gains. Broadcom was a big winner today. At one point, it was at 350, now at 352, which is not too bad. So you're getting some of the tech names to participate. AMD as well, 208. That's up 2.5%. Nebius, nice little 10% day. It's been a while. You know, my first buy on Nebius was actually it was 110, then 108. And then I started buying in the 90s. But this was basically the price that I got in after that Q3 earnings when it dumped like 5%. So you got Nebius right there. Amazing day. Iran back above 50 after a long time. 51. This thing fell all the way to 35 back in November, and I think kind of stayed there in December. So very nice to see Iran getting some momentum. And then you had CoreWeave lead the day as well. CoreWeave right there, 91.14, up 13% of the day. I can't find a massive data center headline. There is something to do with Meta that we'll talk about, which I think is potentially pumping all the other data center names. Applied Digital had a great earnings last week, so that's also probably giving the right sentiment for the data center plays. But yeah, there's not like something specific around CoreWeave or Nebius signing some massive deal today. Nonetheless, those are in favor. Oracle leading the way at 205, up 3.5%. Michael Burry is explicitly shorting Oracle now, so today not the best day for the short, but Oracle probably the leader of the data center trade. And if Oracle's up 3%, then a lot of these other names are probably going to get some momentum as well. So we got some excitement right there with Oracle at 205, and that's up 3%. I did buy a new name today, OSS. I'm in it. A lot of you guys have been talking about it in the chat. I bought as it was running up today. So obviously it's not necessarily, I think, the day to FOMO into it because a lot of people are FOMOing into it, including myself. I FOMOed into it. Got in at around 990. Look, here's the thing. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it, but I reposted a thread on X from an account that I think is really good at explaining the thesis. I spent 3 hours today looking into it, and I basically spent all of last week hearing Stock talk about it. So this is the thread right here. I'm going to put in the chat. A lot of people saying about time. Yes, it is about time. Quite frankly, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but it is reminding me of Palantir in those early days, just based on the idea of what they're doing for the military. Now, they don't have that sort of commercial business that Palantir had, which I was very attracted to back in 2022. But from an edge compute perspective, it does make a lot of sense. And then you look at their margins, their valuation, they trade at 6 times sales. Some of their competitors are trading at like 100 times sales. So from that perspective, I think it makes sense. Now, I'm not going to talk about it a lot today, but again, with Stock Talk last week, he talked about it for a full like 10 minutes, starting at 5 minutes and 38 seconds on the Vegas episode. So I'm going to link that in the chat for anyone who wants to get a little bit more of a deeper understanding of it. He explained the thesis. And you know what's the funniest thing is like we spent 4 days talking about it while it was stuck at $7. And every morning I woke up, I just didn't buy because I think I was just so busy with NVIDIA and the interviews and all that shit. And, you know, now it's at $10. So I bought a little bit. I would not chase this thing, especially if you're just getting to know about it. It's a micro cap at 200 million. Usually I don't touch these names. So for me to be excited about it means that there is something that's really getting my attention. I'll probably write a more in-depth post. But the Twitter thread that I linked, I think is really worth checking out as this person kind of explains the thesis. And then obviously Stock talked about it last week. So some of you guys probably have already heard about it. I will look to get back in if it goes back to $8. I don't know if it's going to get there. Granted, the entire market is getting a little excited. RSI on OSS is above 70 on the monthly. So like, I think waiting for a dip is not too crazy. It's just, it's a micro cap. So this thing obviously could run up 30% on the day. All right, Meta, let's talk about it. So Meta looks like they are getting into the cloud compute game, baby. This is something we've been talking about for a while. Looks like Zuck's finally is admitting that he needs to do this. And this is also a reason I think Nebius, CoreWeave, and Iren are pumping today. Zuckerberg, today we're establishing a new top-level initiative called Meta Compute. Meta is planning to build tens of gigawatts this decade and hundreds of gigawatts over more time. How we engineer, invest, and partner to build this infrastructure will become a strategic advantage. And then he talks about some of the people in Meta that are going to be leading what they're trying to do here. Two things that I think are happening right now. Number one, Meta is realizing that they need to actually be able to get people to care about their AI business, and advertising is not enough. Therefore, they're going into the easiest business that you can do when it comes to AI, which is the cloud. Be the infrastructure layer for all these other companies that need to buy compute. AWS, GCP, Azure obviously have built massive businesses on this. I think AWS is doing 100 billion a year. Google's doing like 35 billion. I think Azure's doing like 50 billion or something. Huge businesses. There's a real moat there. Zucks is already putting a ton of money into AI infrastructure. It makes sense if the demand is as insatiable as we keep hearing about AI that's out there. Nebius sells out of everything. Iren sells out of everything. CoreWeave is literally trying to get their hands on more and more GPUs. Like, if it's that serious and the cloud providers need to literally buy or partner with neoclouds, Google investing in Cypher, Wolf, et cetera, just to be able to get that momentum to get things online, then Meta, with all the cash in the world that's buying all these GPUs to put into data centers, obviously they should be able to outsource some of that and provide it as a service to a variety of other companies that are out there. And Zucks has talked about this on the last earnings call. He wasn't as explicit as saying it would become a full feature. Meta stock right here down 2%, but I think this is the easiest way to get the street to become more excited about Meta's AI business. On top of that, 5 minutes before I went live, you had the New York Times report that Zucks is likely cutting 10% of the staff from Reality Labs. Now, I don't think that's as good of a headline because the number was supposed to be like 50%. Right? That's when like Meta pumped to almost 700. Like I think it was last month, or it was like 3 weeks ago. So 10% is good, but I think Bloomberg reported it would be closer to 30%, which is why I think the stock is not really like moving on this number, because this is good. Like, Reality Labs doesn't make any money. It's like one of those things that's holding back a lot of their CapEx spend, or at least the profitability from certain parts of CapEx spend. So it makes sense for them to get rid of this, or at least downsize it, but maybe it's not enough. So as a result, Meta taking a little bit of a dip right there. But look, this is exciting. If they end up getting into the cloud business, I mean, for those that have been buying Meta, I think that's what Zucks needs to say to get people excited. S&P 500 right there, 695. Broadcom up 2.4%, and NVIDIA up 0.25% as well. I think this will be the number one question that he's asked on the earnings call is like, hey, what are you guys doing with this cloud? And is this cloud really serious? And I don't think it's even going to be deployed probably for like another 6 months, but the initiative has started, which might be enough to get Wall Street on its side. SoFi right here down 3%. The credit card news still pretty bearish for a lot of these companies. Capital One down 7% on the day. American Express down 4%. You got your Bank of America's, JP Morgan's, Goldman Sachs, all those down. They have earnings starting on Tuesday. Visa's down 2%. Not as bad of a decline as I thought some people expected. You know, some people expected 10, 15% down, but as of now, it's not too horrible. Elizabeth Warren did reach out to Trump today and said, hey, if you want to pass this credit card bill, I am on your side. Kind of a weird timeline to be living in with Warren getting ready to help Trump here. But we're going to see if Congress actually has a chance to make this happen. Google and Apple. Big announcement today. Google has officially entered into a multi-year collaboration under which the next generation of Apple Foundation models will be based on Google's Gemini models and cloud technology. We all knew this was going to happen. Pretty much was confirmed at the end of the market open. It is now officially happening. Elon, not happy about this. This seems like an unreasonable concentration of power for Google, given that also you have Android and Chrome. I think Elon is right to complain about this, but mainly because he has a competing product, which is probably why he's upset. For Google and Apple, it makes all the sense in the world. I mean, Apple is basically getting away with doing zero CapEx and getting all the distribution from technology that one could argue is better than what OpenAI has created. Google says, after careful evaluation, Apple determined that Google's AI technology provides the most capable foundation for Apple Foundation models and is excited about the innovative new experiences it will unlock for Apple users. Apple Intelligence will continue to run on Apple devices and private cloud compute while maintaining Apple's industry-leading privacy standards. Once again, Google continues to prove they passed $4 trillion in market cap today, that they might continue to be one of the best Mac 7s. I mean, they went up 70% last year. It's not easy for them to do that again, but what if they do? Now, how much money is this deal worth? How many billions are they getting? How much are they spending with Apple? That stuff has not been disclosed yet. And maybe it never is, but Apple right there, 260 on the news as 2 billion people might get access to a real AI system, which is the next generation of like how these LLMs end up becoming part of our daily lives, as if they can just be integrated into voice. By the way, speaking of voice, ChatGPT and OpenAI, they are really trying to kill the iPhone. And today it was leaked that this is what they're working on. It is a earpiece, codenamed Sweet P. OpenAI's new product is a special audio product to replace the AirPod. The internal code is named Sweet P. Now, maybe this is false. This is just leaks based on different websites and some of the prototypes that have been released from China. Obviously, they're probably manufacturing this stuff in China. But I mean, why can't Apple just do the AirPod? Or why can't Apple just integrate whatever ChatGPT is thinking of into their AirPod? Like, they already have the AirPod. Like, OpenAI making a new device. Like, it's not going to be a new device. It's just going to be headphones where like you talk to your app, or you have some, maybe there's some level of on-device compute inside of it. I don't know how Apple can't make that at the same time. And I feel like Apple just easily takes that market over versus OpenAI. So, I mean, if OpenAI can't win against Google with the LLM, and then they can't win against Apple with the hardware, it really begs the question, how are these guys going to scale? Now, I think they still have the best model. They still have the most users on their model, but a lot more questions than answers when it comes to OpenAI. Rocket Lab, 4%, 88.39. She wants 90. She didn't get it today, but it looks like she's going to get that eventually. HIMS made a little bit of a rebound. That's up 2%. TSM, we had some big news on Taiwan Semiconductor as well, which is good for Amkor and Intel. So it looks like the New York Times is reporting the United States is nearing a trade deal with Taiwan to cut tariffs. Once again, tariffs are going away in 2026 more than they were being implemented in 2025, and secure another TSMC investment. TSMC would build at least 5 additional semiconductor fabs in Arizona, and the deal would lower tariffs on Taiwan's exports by about 15%. Now, once again, we've been talking about this idea of the onshoring trade, and the concept of the onshoring trade is that Trump, whether it's perceptually or materially, wants it to seem like semiconductors are being manufactured in the United States. And in order for semiconductors to be manufactured in the United States, even if it's not literally being manufactured in the United States, if the packaging of it is happening, then I think that's really important. And as a result, that's going to get some more momentum for the potential deal with TSMC. 5 extra locations, like 5 fabs inside of Arizona, is not something small, given that Amkor already works pretty intimately with the fabs that are already there, and that, you know, TSMC really isn't going anywhere else outside of the United States. And part of the reason they're going to the United States outside of Taiwan is because they want to have good relationships with Trump. And so I think that sort of re-onshoring trade continues to make sense, and it's not going to be slowing down. Wow, the copper ETF, COPEX at 80, up 3.3%. That is not slowing down either. Silver, I haven't checked on it in an hour. Of course, it's up another 1%. Why not? Gold is up 2%, 4,600. Silver at 85. I think it touched 86 today. Yeah, it touched 86 at one point today. COPEX right there at 80. Shopify at 167. Rocket Lab at 88. Tempest 69.40. This one faded a lot of its move. It was up 10%. Now it's up 4%. Accelera up 4%. Kratos, the drone stock's having a great day. UNH, that Wall Street Journal headline wasn't the best. It is recovering a decent chunk of what it lost, though. Fell to 333, and now it's back. Novo's up 2%, and then JD up 4%. Baidu up 6%. Baba, all the Chinese names got some stimulus this morning. Industry potentially rotated into this one. For those wondering why Meta is down, again, the headline for compute, I don't think was enough to pump it yet. Like, Zuck is going to have to show some actual business use cases for that, and like some revenue projections. I think the bigger issue is the 10% decline in Reality Labs in terms of employees is not enough. When we covered this news, when Meta pumped to 700 or like 685, it was 30%. That's what Bloomberg reported. So 10% is cool, and it's a good move for them to do to increase or to decrease the losses in Reality Labs, but I don't think it's enough. And I think that's why Meta got hit. Zeta was red all day. Yes. Now Zeta was up 20% for the past week, or 20% for the year. So I think Zeta consolidating here is actually very good. You don't want to see this thing leave 24 so easily, but you also don't want to see it run up to 28, because then it turns more into euphoria. So I think this one normalizing and kind of being accumulated. I think Zeta after earnings is going to pump hard. Like, I think earnings are going to be really good. So yes, waiting for a dip makes sense here because it's run up a lot. But also, I just think it's not going to get super euphoric until after earnings. I think on earnings, David Steinberg is going to really show some increased revenue growth and obviously profitability, which is going to be Very, very important. Duolingo is down 8%. The CFO stepped down today. Once again, just not the best narrative on this stock. Valuation isn't even that attractive either. That's down 8.5% on the day. NVIDIA, are we getting a red candle? Whoop, look at that. Is there a piece of news, or did someone just sell a ton of NVIDIA? That's a pretty ugly red candle. For those asking about OSS, again, not going to talk about it too much today. I linked just go to my Twitter. The second to last post has an OSS thesis that you can read. Also, again, with Stock Talk last week, we talked about it for a good 10 minutes. So I'm going to link that right here in the chat. Starts at seconds. He explains the thesis very well. Simple reason I bought today is because I think edge compute is going to be a big theme. And based on just looking at the fundamentals, the valuation, the prototype for the contract, like this one seems like they could get $1 billion contract, market cap's at 200 million. I usually don't touch small caps like this. This is more of a micro cap, but it really is very, very compelling. So I would look into it. I would not FOMO into it. Right now, I think a lot of people are FOMOing into it, including myself today. Probably gets back down to like $8, $9, but on a super green day for the S&P, that's, when a name like that is probably going to pump. S&P 500, we got 30 seconds until we close, 695.24. I don't see any crazy NVIDIA headline, although we pretty much did lose all the gains for the day, but that happens every single day when NVIDIA. No, it's not more than a 1% position. It's nothing crazy. I just a little to track it, and it's compelling enough for me to say, all right, I want to have some shares of this. All right, here we go. Monday, January 12th, 4 p.m. Once again, the stock market is now closed with the S&P 500 at all-time highs. Don't you guys miss the bell? Don't you guys miss the bell? We couldn't do that in the hotel. We get to do that in the studio. None of the neighbors have complained for the past 5 months. That's how we end out the market. We need a big bell to end it out. S&P at its highest close ever, 695. It is time to get to 7,000. Hopefully that happens in the coming days. NVIDIA right there, 184.94. So it didn't you can see those 3 red candles right there, 187 to 184. NVIDIA ended up 8 cents on the day. All that volume, 128 million shares traded for NVIDIA to be up 8 cents on the day. But I don't think it was a headline or anything. I think probably some people just sold right at the close. Zeta right there, 24.29, flat on the day. Meta down about 2% on the day. Baba, massive day, up 10%. Apple was up 0.34. Google up 1%. Google, 4 trillion market cap. First close for Google above 4 trillion. Absolutely incredible. Oracle right there, 204.60. That was up 3%. That helped the data center plays. CoreWeave was up 12%. IREN was up 9%. AMD was up 2.2%. Nebius finally getting a more meaningful close in the 100s, 107.30 for Mr. Nebius. Amazon, 246 flat. Knowing Amazon, it's going to tease us between 245 and 250 for the next 8 months. Hopefully not, but at least we got to break out above that 230 level. Robinhood, 117.50. That was up 2%. CopEx continues to go well. Micron was up a little bit on the day. Tesla, 448 got green. Palantir got upgraded to $235 by Citi. They think they can grow 70% this year, which they're at 63%. Another 7% is not that crazy. 179.40 for Palantir as that got some momentum. TMDX was actually down 2% on the day. Ethereum, 3,097. Where's Bitcoin? Are we at 91? We're at least at 91, 91.3. MicroStrategy up about 3%. And then Bitmine, 31.30. This was also up 3% on the day. Wayfair just partnered with Google to advance AI-powered shopping for the home. Wow. Shopify, Apple, and Wayfair. Multiple partnerships from Google today. They are starting 2026 with some excitement. Wayfair is up 3% after hours as they are probably implementing an entire suite of Gemini products to help people shop on the app. So there you go. Wayfair, that stock is up a bit after hours. Wayfair right there up 3%. Google again, that's up. And then the S&P 500 again closed at 695.24. All right, so we have a guest joining in about 10 minutes. Before he comes on, I want to share a couple of different macro updates in regards to a variety of different things happening. And then we'll get him on the show and we'll talk about a lot of other stuff that's going on. EOSC, great day as well. A lot of the energy names, look at that, $16, 5%. Not too bad for a lot of the energy plays today. Bitcoin right there and 91.2. Okay, so a couple different things. First of all, we didn't even talk about money market funds last week because we missed the release. On Thursday, $70 billion were added to money market funds last week. 7.8 trillion now is part of the money market fund ecosystem. The fact that the market is close to 7,000 and money market funds are hitting a new all-time high is kind of crazy. I mean, it really is incredible. In the first week of 2026, we are now at around 200 billion of inflows. And since the start of 2025, we have 954 billion of inflows, which is a record 7.8 trillion. Basically, $1 trillion came since last year. So I think it's exciting because if you have this much money that's waiting on the sidelines and money still coming into the equity markets, then eventually, if that money comes into the equity markets, that might be a bit more exciting as well. The Iranian rials, I think that's how you say their currency, are now worth $0. The situation in Iran is not doing well. Bill Ackman shared a video on X. I'm not going to share it on the stream, but if anyone wants to watch it, it is pretty gruesome what the regime is doing to their own people. And quite frankly, this might be some of the content that people have to see to care deeply about what's going on. It's ugly. It's really, really ugly as the Iranian people try to fight for freedom. Now, at the same time, the question is, what does the United States do? Wall Street Journal is reporting that the U.S. is weighing Iran's offer for diplomacy. Vance apparently is urging Trump to try diplomacy with Iran. And Wall Street Journal is citing U.S. officials on White House Iran's thinking. There's also some analysis coming from that Wall Street Journal article that Trump is very seriously thinking of striking Iran, which is why they're including that Vance is trying to get him to think more of diplomacy versus striking. Iran is offering some things diplomatically. I don't know if that's going to be enough for Trump to say, yeah, this is a good deal for the United States. But it's becoming very real. And I would imagine over the next coming weeks, we're going to see some level of excitement in regards to how Trump is ultimately going to handle what ends up playing out. Piper Sandler says their top picks for 2026 are Meta and Reddit. They think Meta is going to grow 25% year over year. Reddit, they think their DAUs are going to go. Their DAUs are going to be better as well. I did a deep dive on Reddit. I don't like the valuation here. Now the valuation obviously can expand and continue to do better. Reddit year to date is up 5%, so it's not too bad. It's a growth stock, right? The valuation always can expand if the growth continues to expand. I just think the risk reward here is not that exciting unless Reddit comes out with something totally different that changes growth estimates. So one thing to think about with Reddit, but Piper Sandler does think those are their top picks. Goldman Sachs thinks that the 3 U.S. software stocks to buy are Microsoft, ServiceNow, and Oracle. And they say sell Datadog and Adobe. I actually don't disagree with this. I think obviously Microsoft, definitely a buy. Oracle, probably a buy. Datadog and Adobe have not been in the best shape when it comes to overall growth. But those are the ones that you would be thinking, or at least Goldman Sachs is thinking of from the SaaS sector. Lemonade did have a good day. This one got some love as well. Lemonade 86.52 up 8.6%. I don't think there was any specific news for why Lemonade pumped, but this one had a great 2025 and it's continuing into 2026 as well, as you're seeing some more momentum for these insurance plays. Obviously, Oscar is just not benefiting yet because we don't officially know if the healthcare subsidies are going to be passed by the Senate. Silver, physical silver is now officially triple digits. This thing continues to surprise in terms of the momentum. Silver right there, you can see on certain websites, $99.69. Some of the bids are at $101.69. I mean, it continues to be a commodities ecosystem and super cycle that's not necessarily slowing down. The 10-year today peaked at 4.2. We're at 4.187, so that hasn't slowed down either. Even with the Fed independent stuff, we talked a lot about JPOW in the morning. I mean, commodities are doing okay. The S&P 500 is doing okay. Bond yields are not doing the best, but they're not going crazy. So with everything that happened with JPOW, you had a lot of senators come out this morning saying they support what's happening with JPOW, and they really condemn the administration from trying to launch this, what seems like political investigation. The markets don't care. At least today, the markets are like, yeah, we're probably going to be able to deal with it, and it's not going to be as big of a deal in the long term. And so, even with all that crazy stuff that happened last night, JPOW putting out that letter, 50 million people watched him in his video talk about why this is not a good thing to happen in the United States. The markets continue to go forward. Now, what does Trump care about? Well, the Supreme Court. Here's what he tweeted an hour ago. The actual numbers that we would have to pay back if for any reason the Supreme Court were to rule against the United States of America on tariffs would be hundreds of billions of dollars. And that doesn't include the amount of payback that countries and companies would require for investments they are making on building plants, factories, and equipment for the purpose of being able to avoid tariffs. He says, in other words, if the Supreme Court rules against the United States of America on this national security bonanza, we're screwed. I don't know exactly if we're screwed. I think his policy agenda is probably screwed unless they figure out a way to implement the tariffs. I do think it would be kind of weird to reverse a year's worth of policy that used tariffs as the linchpin to negotiate and have that just go to zero. But that is how Trump feels. So on Wednesday, after some big bank earnings, we should be getting that data around 10 a.m. And hopefully we have a better understanding of it. But that's going to be a massive day. And I think trading around that is also going to be really important. Last stat I want to show everybody, and then we'll have our guests join the show. U.S. household net worth jumped $6 trillion in Q3 of 2025. In the United States of America, there is now $181 trillion of household net worth. This was almost entirely driven by the thing we talk about every single day, the equity markets, $5.5 trillion. At the same time, the value of real estate holdings fell $287 billion, showing that people are selling houses and potentially buying equities more. Since Q1 of 2020, household net worth has risen $72 trillion, up 65%. Obviously, asset owners are winning. It also begs the question, are we winning too much? And could there be some level of correction coming to be able to normalize the types of net worth increases that we've seen? But also companies that put up earnings, and the Fed and the Fed was raising rates while all of this has happened, which means you can't just say it was easy money, stimulus, printing money. It's like that was 2020 and that ended in 2022. Since 2022 October, it's all been driven by earnings, AI, and rate hikes, which ironically, if you had money in 2022, 2023, even if you had a couple $100,000, you didn't need to be a billionaire, like 5% interest rates were really good. Like you got a free 5% for doing nothing. So rate hikes ended up having a little bit of an opposite effect in terms of helping a lot of people. Obviously, they definitely destimulated the economy to an extent, but it's kind of fascinating to live in this time where the equity markets are adding $6 trillion of wealth in one quarter. Does it feel parabolic? Yes. Is that sustainable? I don't know. But I think you kind of have to be in the equity markets to even have a chance to experience all this. All right. So those are some of the main headlines for the day. Let's bring on our guest onto the show, get some of his thoughts on what's going on in the equity markets. We'll ask him about some different stocks. Ladies and gentlemen, I think he was with me on the last day of the year, actually, on the last market close. Sam.
What's going on, man? How are you?
Good, man. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. It is a great year for a lot of stocks. The portfolio is definitely moving, that's for sure. Don't particularly like the move on Semiconductor today, but I mean, it's up still year to date, so can't really complain.
I called you Iran. I meant to say something. Might as well call you Iran. Are you connected to the right mic?
Should be. Hold on.
You sound like you're in a fish.
Should be better now.
Perfect. There you go.
Yeah, my bad. I always have these mic issues all the time.
No, you're good. You're good. Okay, so a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to get into macro, Fed, all this stuff. But I want to start off with Iran because you've been in this name for a while. To set some context, last night someone posted Iran would get an Anthropic deal. It's going to 50. There was no Anthropic deal. It went to 50. What the hell is going on? Like, is there insider trading? Are people like what's happening here?
I don't really know what's happening. I mean, I wouldn't really attribute it to speculation of an Anthropic deal because the whole sector is ripping today. Cypher, Iran, Applied Digital, all of those stocks. So they all tend to move in unison. Iran is definitely moving a lot, but Nebius is up a little bit more, and I don't think there's particularly any sort of speculation of what deal is going to come up for Nebius in the short term. I wouldn't be surprised if a deal comes up with Anthropic and Iran. I mean, they're trying to partner with everyone, and plus, I believe Iran has a partnership with AWS, right? I keep forgetting. They all announced so many deals in the last few months, and they all took a breather. So money's just rushing back into the whole sector. The problem is that you see a lot of people waiting for Iran to make a big move up, right? And they see a tweet like this to get super excited, right? And maybe they buy more, whatever it is. But if you have the thesis, that you already built from like hours and hours of research and stuff, like does 10% update like really matter that much? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm excited it's up 10%, but like, are you in this for just a 10% gain you're going to get out, or are you in it for like the long haul? Like, because I'm thinking this thing's probably going to like quadruple by 2030. The problem is that like people expect it to happen like today. And we've clearly seen like a lot of peaks and troughs in the stock so far. So I think you're going to have to be patient with it versus like hoping it's going to continue to go up. And we've seen these 10% moves happen before, and like it gets sold off the next day with no reason why.
Same thing with Nebius.
Yeah. So, I would say be patient and don't buy because like someone's trying to pump it up.
Why do you think the data centers pumped today? Any thoughts or just random?
I think a lot of it has to do with the recent announcements that we've had from Google as far as expanding partnerships with multiple companies, all these like AI partnerships with Google and Gemini, even though it's not directly related to Iran, but it just shows the amount of demand coming through the door. But also, you have 2026, a lot of liquidity is trying to chase the gains in the beginning of the year, trying to position themselves. I think Stock Talk was talking about this the other day when you're with them, was that you have a lot of money trying to position themselves for the entire year. And if you have stocks like Iran that are up a lot in the entire year, there's a bit of excitement, not even when it comes to just retail, but also the fund managers too are trying to position themselves for a great year. But on top of that, you also have the news with Meta. Like, look, Meta understands, or Mark Zuckerberg understands how important compute is. So he's trying to lock in a lot of that compute today. In fact, they believe Nebius had a partnership with Meta, right? So if that keeps happening, it's only assumed that these companies will continue to have sold out all their compute for like next few years and are going to continue building up to do so. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's going to go straight up from here, but I would think that if this AI is actually real, then these companies are actually going to come through with their like couple or few $1 billion ARR by 2027.
Why do you think Meta is starting this Meta Compute initiative, and do you think they're going to compete with the cloud providers?
Well, Meta has always built out their compute for their own good. I don't know if it's going to be like, oh, guys, we're going to rent out compute, we're going to become a hyperscaler. But I do think that there is a massive amount of demand for all of their family of apps, right? Like you see like an extra $1 billion over a course of a year using the family of apps. Mind you, I don't think there's actually one person per user on their platform. I think a lot of it's probably bots, but I do think that it's going to continue growing. I mean, if it is just bots with it, which I'm not just bots, but if a large amount of it are bots, it's likely going to continue increasing, especially when you have these AI algorithms crawling around the entire web, and Mark Zuckerberg is opening his own family of apps to whatever they're partnering with out there. It's going to be much more demanding as far as compute goes. Like I feel like this whole theme is going to continue growing exponentially versus just a linear type of growth. Like I think the demand is going to grow exponentially.
I think it makes sense. Like if there's this much demand for cloud compute, all the neo clouds are benefiting from like having space, land, infrastructure, et cetera. Well, I mean, Meta is the ultimate quote unquote neo cloud in that capacity. So why wouldn't they be able to sell some of these services? And Google's operating margins on cloud are 34%. Meta could get that to like 25% for the first year, and then eventually that would be a nice part of the business outside of advertising, because they've tried to make other parts of the business like glasses and Reality Labs. None of it has made a dent in the advertising business. This might have a chance.
Yeah, I think he needs to keep cutting the cost of Reality Labs. I mean, I don't think we are there yet with wearables as far as visions go. I mean, I do think we're going to be getting there at some point, but I don't think we're there yet where like everyone's going to have like the smart goggles and like be doing this, right, and using their computers and everything all through their eyes or hand gestures, whatever it is. I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah.
I even like checked out the Meta glasses or the Ray-Ban glasses at the store. I'm like, this isn't even that great, right? Like what purpose am I going to buy this for other than like playing a game or something? I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I don't think we're there yet.
Not just you.
Huh?
It's not just you. I think a lot of people.
I think it'll be cool. I think Apple is probably going to set the tone with this one, right? Like, but if we're not there yet, then no one's going to use it. Like the Vision Pro, it was a flop, right? It was an expensive flop. Like, who in the right mind was going to pay $3,500 to keep one for a long time? And you saw a lot of returns after their release. So maybe it might take time for a cheaper solution and something that's like more accommodating to people versus like this gigantic thing with a separate computer that's hanging on your belt the whole time.
OpenAI just acquired a company, guys. They acquired Torch Health. Torch
company.
This came out 40 minutes ago. The Torch team is joining OpenAI to help build ChatGPT Health into the best AI tool in the world for health and wellness. What are you thinking about OpenAI right now, Sam? You got Google and Apple working together. It looks like Apple's not going to be using GPT for the foundation models. Then you have OpenAI working on these headphones that are going to be kind of AI oriented. Apple already has the AirPods. I mean, do you think they're in a strong position right now? And would you be a buyer of their stock in the private markets?
No, I'm not going to buy their stock. I think it's like completely well, I can't buy their stock, but I think it's so completely overvalued for what you're actually getting in return. I mean, they're still burning cash. There's like no sign of profitability coming around anytime soon. Their growth rate is probably going to slow down to a point where it will be very difficult for them to switch to profitability mode. And on top of that, it's mostly accommodating to a lot of consumers on small businesses. I mean, a lot of companies do use OpenAI, ChatGPT in their platforms. But other than that, I think a lot of competition's coming out there, especially with Gemini, that if you continue to lose market share, which we've seen from those charts as far as AI workloads goes, you know, like where is the moat anymore if the moat's being stolen from like Gemini, Grok, and all these other LLMs out there, and even Anthropic as well? Like, is this company ever to become profitable? You know, at a certain point, how much is their valuation supposed to come up? What is that, 830? I thought they were at 500 billion.
They raised 3 weeks ago. Rumored to raise at 830 2 weeks ago.
That's insane. I don't know who's buying it right now, to be honest. But I mean, I guess people just want a cut of it. I mean, you have so many stocks in the open market to probably make a lot more money off of, and it's more liquid too. You know, in the private markets, you can't just like sell your shares out of nowhere. Like you either need to have an SPV where you're selling your shares to other people, or you need to go public to get out, right? And I'm sure a lot of people are going to be trying to get out as soon as it goes public. I don't know if it's going to happen this year or next year, but there's going to be a lot of selling when that goes public because you have money that's been holding onto it for almost a decade now that wants to get out. I don't know. When that goes public, I'd be very scared to see if like that is like a temporary top of the market.
Credit cards. Do you think Trump is going to cap them at 10%?
No, man, he's not going to do that. There's no way he's going to do that. Well, okay, not no way he's going to do that. I don't think he's going to do it though.
Why?
Dude, like if he does that, a lot of these credit card companies make a lot of money off the spread between how much they borrow money at and how much they loan it at, right? And even though credit isn't the exact same thing as like loaning money out from deposits that you get, there still is a reason why the rates for APRs are that high. I'm not saying it's justified. I'm saying that if all of them are making them around 20% or higher, cutting them in half out of nowhere is going to cause a little bit of turbulence in the system, right? So that means that if they have to do that, they're going to be mandated to keep it at 10%. That's a massive shock to the system when you're only giving like a 3-week warning on it. Mind you, if these credit card companies have a lot of lobbyists, which they likely do, they probably knew something else is going to happen. But like, how many times has Trump said he's going to do something and then like he always changes his mind last minute? I feel like this is a negotiation tactic, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
The more I thought about today, I'm like, January 20th, he'll have an extension, be like, all right, we can't do 10%, but we can do 15%, yada, yada. Like we're going to do it in 6 months or whatever. But it's just to get these companies to like really have a fire under their ass to actually do something about it.
Yeah,
which is fair.
For sure, man.
MicroStrategy insider buy for the first time since 2022.
Oh, wow.
Carl Rickertson. I don't know exactly what he does at MSTR. He's on the board of directors. He's been on the board since October 2002. Okay, so you got someone thinking that it's finally getting cheap enough to buy a bit more. You were on with me on the last market close of the year. We talked about Zeta. Stock was at 19. It's at 24. I think a lot of people are now interested in it. Obviously, it's made a big move. First of all, can you just explain what Zeta is to the common person? And then what do you think about the price action?
Okay, so Zeta is basically a marketing platform. It's a bit different from like a Salesforce or an Adobe or anything like that. Salesforce and Adobe do offer similar products, but Zeta is like an all-encompassing marketing platform that basically does everything, right? So you have marketing platforms that sends out a bunch of emails like MailChimp or whatever. You have marketing platforms that looks at a list of clients and then caters their specific needs and whatever as far as as far as giving out the product. So then that could be like CTV, or which is what TTD does, where you're basically selling ad space, or sorry, you're buying ad space to advertise your product. And then you also have other marketing platforms that perform like a HubSpot, where it's like across all social media, and you could basically connect different social media accounts and post stuff on there. So Zeta does all of that, but what they're supposed to be making public at the end of Q1 is an AI chatbot called Athena. And it's made up of like 3 different parts. You have your data ingestion part, and then you have the part that connects all these points together to basically say like which type of ad campaigns work best for a company. And then you also have the third part, which is the chatbot, and everything gets put together to basically create their entire marketing platform or add a complement onto the AI platform, which they like to call Athena. But Athena is more on like the chatbot side.
Yeah.
But it isn't just a chatbot where it's like you just type in a question and it gives you a prompt or whatever. It actually does things for you on your client end, right?
It's more agentic intrinsically.
Yeah. So I personally think that is one part of Zeta's moat when it comes to it. And it's very difficult to say a moat in this industry because marketing is a very competitive industry. But what Zeta is doing a little bit differently is that they're looking more at the generative AI optimization search, right? So currently, or well, not currently, but this has been happening for like 20 plus years, is that you have SEO or search engine optimization, which is basically like certain keywords that search engines use or that websites put on that search engines could utilize to pinpoint exactly like to point to your website as far as top results goes. And the more SEO keywords that it hits, the higher in the results lets you come up if you like Google something, right? So there's something called generative AI engine optimization, or generative engine optimization, sorry, where basically if you go to ChatGPT, what you've been seeing lately, or what people probably been seeing lately, is that a lot of the results that get returned in ChatGPT have like the clickable link on there. And it basically goes to whatever website or PDF or anything that is basically optimized based on what kind of search you're putting in there. And I think this is new. I think this is actually going to be the future when it comes to search, right? I think search is going to be replaced by AI prompts, which we'll be seeing. That's actually been the underlying fear of Google for a while. But then the market's like, wait a minute, Google's not going to lose this. They're actually going to be leading it, right? So that's the reason why Google is probably trading near all-time highs, and they're creating all these partnerships with Shopify and Wayfair and all these companies. But Zeta is able to provide these GEO keywords or API, whatever it's called, and they're able to get it off of their first-party data that they've been scraping for a long period of time, right? So a lot of these companies, they buy the data of the certain clicks or whatever all their clients are looking at. They buy it from a third party, but Zeta does it first party. They've been gathering this for almost a decade now. And what they're doing with this data is able to possibly sell it to other companies, or maybe partner with other companies like OpenAI or even Gemini at some point, which I wouldn't be surprised if a Gemini partnership comes up. And these other companies can basically look at Zeta's data cluster and say, like, which AI, like someone's asking for a recipe on how to cook like an apple pie, which website should I point to? And it's going to be asking Zeta those questions, right? And it was actually pretty interesting because if you're watching the fireside chat, also David Steinberg, who's the CEO of the company, he also did a chat with Studio C, who's part of CES. Actually, Davis was actually at the Zeta one, which is pretty cool because I wish.
I know. Trust me.
Yeah,
Dave is being a pretty big fangirl.
Yeah,
he made
honestly,
me come back.
yeah.
Dude, we came back to his house and he said, we're going to watch the entire 35 minutes again. We had to sit there watching the whole thing again.
Yeah.
That's how excited he was for this.
Did you like the part with the cookie? I actually didn't catch on about that.
Part was crazy.
Yeah.
But when you're speaking of that, let me play a clip real quick. This is where I really liked what Steinberg, the CEO, was saying. Basically, he understood 3 years ago what was going to happen.
You would have loved this. So we have 2 big private equity partners. I go in, we're making pretty good money at the time. We called ourselves a customer lifecycle marketing platform at that time, where we would do acquisition and retention and so on and so forth. I went into a board meeting and I said, well, guys, we're going to go from making, pick a number, 50 million a year in EBITDA, which was a lot of money back then. Now it's a good month. And literally, I told them we're going to make no money for the next 3 years. I'm going to take 400 full-time engineers and we're going to re-architect our entire platform to make AI and data native to the application layer, so foundational.
How much silence in the board, like when she said that?
Silence. Like literally, I would tell you, and you know me well, those who know me really well, I'm really about consensus as an individual. I started my first company when I was 16. I was the youngest guy in the room for the first 20 years I ran companies. I am now universally the oldest guy in any room I go into. And to me, it's sort of like, well, I'm happy to have Brian here or Barry here because he's older than me. But the reality is that I sort of say the truth lays in the middle, right? So we went into this board meeting and we had no consensus. We had one side that was really upset. Another side was like, listen, we can do this. And I told them, I said, listen, we're never going to become the company we want to become unless we do this. Because the way I saw it in 2017 is we were at the time ingesting so much data that to run a comprehensive report would take days. And we needed an answer in a millisecond. The math didn't work. Now, we're probably...
I thought that was really good. People can watch it. I'll put it in the chat because, I mean, that's some pretty visionary stuff to realize. In 2017, AI and machine learning is going to be a big thing. Let's stop making money. Like, what company wants to stop making money, at least profitably? Let's stop making money and let's focus on re-architecting the foundation of the company so that 10 years later, we can make a lot of money. And it reminds me of the typical tech company that says we're going to lose money right now, but we are going to grow and get market share. We're going to actually develop a moat that is foundational. And now, you're seeing the ramification of that as they're beating and raising for 17 quarters in a row.
Yeah, dude, for sure. I mean, I think there's more new things that I'm finding about Zeta every single day. Well, not every day, to be realistic, maybe every other day or something like that. But I do think that seeing the stock goes up certainly helps. And like any other company that you do own in your portfolio, seeing the stock go up like really motivates you to like, hey, let me look more into this. Because if it's going down, it's like, oh, did I miss something? Did I miss something in the thesis, or maybe it's just whatever. But there really is a lot more to learn about this company. And I feel like I don't know enough. But I also think that Wall Street's starting to get like a big sniff on this stock. So you're starting to get a bit more coverage on it. And we haven't even seen the price target that Dan Ives is going to give. So obviously, Dan Ives has a lot of moves in the stock market, right? A lot of people really listen to what he's saying, whether people like it or not. A lot of people listen to Dan Ives, right? And he may not be the person that everyone's getting stock tips from, but a lot of big money listens to him in terms of his picks. I mean, it's Wedbush, one of the largest sell side firms in the entire world. Actually, I don't think it's the largest one, but it's one of the largest. So if he makes a recommendation for a stock, a lot of people are going to buy it, right? So we have the benefit of being pretty early on this, but I wouldn't say like it's super early where it's only going to go up from here. But I do think that if people take the time to actually research this stock and see like where things are going in terms of the secular trend, I mean, just the fact that you have SEO being replaced by Geo, right? So like there's also AI, EO or something, AEO, whatever it is. Geo is basically the combination of SEO and AEO, right? So you have artificial intelligence engine optimization, then you have search engine optimization. So Geo is basically, like I mentioned before, is that when you do the prompt in ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever it is, it has the links to whatever website. Like that is literally what's going to be the future for all this. So if you go down the rabbit hole for a little bit and see like who is serving this data to these clients, it might not be Zeta as the only one, but they are like out there saying like, we are doing this right now. And we've been doing it for some time. Like it's something that they're really trying to work on. And I personally think that this could probably be a bit of a bigger deal than people could imagine. Like it's not just a marketing platform at this point. It's not just the fact that for every dollar that a client spends on Zeta platform, they get $6 in savings in return. And it's not just the fact that they're giving away Athena for free and people are going to come back and then increase the amount they're spending in Zeta by 300%. It's really everything when you think about the fact that search is kind of dying now, right? May not be dead. It may not be dead for a long time. People are still using Google, but even Apple is already partnering with Siri-powered LM capability through Gemini, right?
There's 10 blue links is dying. There's a different type of search, I guess one could say.
I mean, to be honest, I only Google things very quickly when I'm on my phone and I just want to search something real quick. But half the time I'm looking at what Gemini is going to send back to me, or half the time I use ChatGPT. right? And obviously, trust but verify. Like I don't really take what it says for granted. I mean, especially using it for so long, work, personal life, and everything. Like I never take what it says for granted. But think of all those people out there who've always taken every single top result from Google as truth. And think of what's going to happen if they search for, I want to set up new furniture on my patio for all the guests coming over. And then it brings up a Wayfair result, right? Like people just click that and they'll just buy it. Like the average person in this world just takes whatever they see as truth and just does it, right? And that's why advertising is so expensive. This is the reason why AppLovin is trading near all-time highs, because they've done it so good. Like companies will pay a lot of money for advertising.
No, I agree. I think there's a lot more to discover about the company. The valuation is incredibly compelling. And I think, dude, they got it for 34%. I think they're going to get closer to 40%. I'm starting to like Steinberg a lot, and management is a big deal for me, especially if I'm going to make something a big part of the portfolio. And I like him. I like his arrogance. The arrogance is rooted in like understanding that he knows his shit. It's not like blind arrogance. And I also like the execution that we continue to see. And if they got for 40% growth, the stock's probably closer to 30, 35 bucks.
Yeah. I mean, he's also a salesman, right? So CEOs are,
which is what you need to do.
Salesmen. Yeah. Which is what you need to do. So he's very convincing, right? But I'm telling you, like anyone who's just hearing this now, like do your research on this company. Like I'm telling, and you will most likely like what you're reading. And if you don't, then don't buy it. Right. But like, dude, it is not going to go straight up. I think it's going to be a very bumpy ride. This year to date, like this year is just amazing, right? So
I was going to ask you about that next. And real quick, guys, Palantir earnings officially February 2nd. February 2nd, the date is out. They just put it out right now. I will be live February 2nd. Is that a Monday? Is this a Friday? Monday. Is it in the morning? No, afternoon. Okay. So
the day after your gathering.
Oh shit, oh shit. Well, that's okay. I'm definitely not doing the market open on February 2nd because there's no way I'm going to be able to wake up for that. But we will have the market close. We will have Palantir earnings that day. Put it in your calendar right now, 3:30 to 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you're locked in. Arnie, Amir, myself, Matt will all be there for Palantir. Okay, so to start off the year, like high beta's catching a bid, S&P is catching a bid, NVIDIA is not catching a bid. I mean, how are you thinking of how the first 12 days of 2026 have started?
I mean, it's nice to see that Amazon is green year to date. I don't know. That's Amazon has been like the one stock and obviously the largest position in my portfolio that is just not really doing what it should be doing in the last year. It's still green year to date. But how am I thinking? You know, it's great to be up a lot year to date, but I don't know. It's just the same thing happened last year. So,
but okay. So the hesitancy in your voice, like, do you think it's fake, or do you think the market is just choosing to rotate? Is it as simple as the market doesn't want large caps right now, which is not a meme-ish explanation for this rally, right? That's kind of reasonable. Or do you think there's more FOMO than not?
I think the market it's not an everything market anymore, or actually hasn't been since like last October, right? Or last September. It hasn't been an everything market. I think that a lot of people woke up to that reality in October. I certainly did. But I think this is the year that you really don't want to focus on like pre-revenue companies that are burning cash left and right and really invest more in the themes, right? So the themes have been working for a long time. And the theme right now are drones. That defense and drones, that is like the major theme right now. And like Rocket Lab just keeps going up. Even though Rocket Lab's not drones, it's still a massive defense exposure. This like weird activity. Yeah.
Year to date.
There's like weird activity with a lot of defense stocks. Like if you look at Lockheed Martin, do you remember the other day last week when this thing basically got dumped like 5% in one day because like Trump came out and said that he's going to prevent them from doing buybacks and dividends and everything. And LMT went below $500. And like that very same day after close, he said it was going to increase the budget to 1.5 trillion for defense budgets. And now this thing's sitting at 551. Like,
you know why that happened, right?
Why?
I think Donnie T got a call from someone high up at Lockheed Martin and said,
"Hey,
buddy,
it's
you think you run the world. You think you run the world, but you don't actually run the world. Okay, we need you to put out your little Truth Social post right now and get this stock back to normal. Because we're probably not going to increase it by 500 billion, but if Trump says we are, then boom,
That's
right?
what the market does. Same thing with the credit stuff, 10%, right? Like what if he already got the call about the credit stuff, 10% cap, and a lot of people are buying all these credit card impacting stocks right now, and then he like reverts like the night before.
He literally did this with tariffs last
year.
He did this.
You know, it sucks that, you're on the right side of it, but that's a lot of volatility for Lockheed Martin, right? Like you cannot sit here and tell me that this was not a setup. Like, come on, like Lockheed Martin does not move that much. It doesn't. And to drop 5% in one day, then recover everything the next day, like, come on. There was some stuff going on here.
Semis, space, drones, defense, and energy. Those 5 themes being the core themes of this year. Do you think that just means you have to be a stock picker in those themes, or do you think those themes are unnecessarily catching a bid?
I think those themes will continue catching a bid, and you probably need to pick the best one out of all of them. I mean, it's just, if you look at the drone themes, did Ondas sell off today?
Yeah, but I think that was just because it got overbought. I don't think that was a fundamental.
Yeah, I mean, not okay. Wrong word choosing sell off, because it's up insanely year to date. Yeah. But like, pick the best ones. I think out of all these, you have many defense stocks out there. You have Ondas, you have D-Pro. I can't even think of some off the top of my head.
Red Cat.
Yeah. Well, actually Kratos was the last one I was going to mention, was that one's still like green, right? So that's up like 4% today. And Kratos basically doubled in like the last few weeks, which is insane. It's insane how much it's gone up in the last few weeks. And there was a lot of money that was buying this before Trump made his $1.5 trillion announcement, before the Department of Defense started talking about drone, right? It's like a lot of Wall Streeters and fund managers got the news ahead of time, and they started buying the thing up. And Kratos is just insane. I mean, it's no coincidence that Stock Talk picked this too. I mean, that guy is like always behind the stocks that make crazy moves. But Kratos gave you like a few months of opportunity to buy it in like the $70 range, right? There was a good amount of time you could have bought Kratos before it made its next leg up.
And even OSS 40% this year.
Yeah. So, a lot of these stocks make their move and they chill out for a little bit and consolidate, and then they make the move again. That's generally what happens. But our job as stock pickers are to pick either before it makes its first move or pick it up after it makes its first move. And you could have done the same with Nebius when it dropped down to $70 the other day. Mind you that, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if this is like all a pump and dump, because we've seen this story before, but at least it's not trading at its 52-week lows, or, well, that wouldn't be a 52-week low for Nebius.
What if all the defense stocks and the space stocks get dumped? What would it remind you of? When's the last time we saw something like one theme? Because I can't really remember the last time. Anyone in the chat?
We just had it with this stuff.
No, but that was October was all high beta. It wasn't a theme that pumps complete. Like I think 2021, right? With I guess to an extent the crypto derivative stocks, not necessarily
the weed stocks in 2021.
The weed stock, yeah, the weed stocks is the best example, where an entire sector goes up and then gets.
But I think this is the problem, is that I think it's different, but that's what everyone always says all the time. I think a lot of it just has to do with like holding through conviction, right? So I didn't sell Eddie Nebius when it dropped and basically got cut in half from 145 down to 75. So, it's just the conviction was there. There was no reason to sell it. But you also had the solar stocks, right? Enphase, First Solar, SolarEdge, and all those companies were ripping pretty hard. I still remember in like 2022, it was like all about solar stocks. And then
that lasted like a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that lasted for a year.
All tech stocks were down except solar stocks and oil. So like those ripped up, right? So I think a lot of it has to do with it. So, but the interest rates killed that one. Like I really think that when it comes to AI, if this is a hype up, like if AI is just a massive hype up and it drops, I think it's going to be a lot more hurting than just AI stocks. But I personally don't think that it's over. I don't even think it's close to being over when it comes to this. The only problem is like, when do you stop buying and you start waiting? That's the only thing.
We got the top 20 stocks traded today in options on the screen here today. So all the high beta names are not really making this list. You got Baba, Apple, Tesla, Palantir, Oracle. I mean, this is not your Ondas's or your Bloom Energy or something like that. Do you think, Sam, that the institutions are picking up the Rocket Labs and the Ondas's of the world, or is it more retail?
No, I think it's institutions. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of buying going on the institution side for Rocket Lab, because I mean they're only like less than a couple of years away from profitability. That's probably it's the closest thing to SpaceX you could probably get. I mean, they're one of the largest deploying logistics systems for outer space, but also they produce the software for all the launch platforms too. So that could be something as well, and that's high margin business. But I do think that a lot of institutions are buying Rocket Lab, and when these institutions buy some of these stocks, like they don't really sell them, like they just hold on to it, right? So it's possible that Rocket Lab could be basically double in a couple of years. And congratulations to you and Maddie Fresh. Damn, you guys are buying that thing when it was $4. It's insane.
No. I wasn't buying it. I bought it. My average is 25. He was buying it. He was telling me about it for $4. But no, I wasn't buying it there. But still, I mean, it's had an incredible run, and like
it is.
You know, sometimes you have those names that become really generational. You've got a hell of a founder, and quite frankly, if SpaceX is going to 1.5 trillion, Rocket Lab's probably going to 100 billion.
Yeah, if you get the government sticking their hands in your business, right, wanting to be a part of it, like when Peter Beck was showing the Department of War, his I don't want to say office, but like one of his factories, like that's a big deal. Like that is a big freaking deal, right? So anytime you see any type of government partnerships with anything, this probably has a lot to do with Palantir too, right? Like that football game where Trump flipped the coin or whatever, and like they put the picture of Elon Musk, Trump, and Carp on there. It was like, holy crap, that's like a big freaking deal for this company, right? If you start to have more of that government partnership with any of these companies, like that theme is usually here to stay. Like I don't think it's going to get dropped, at least not until the administration's done.
I agree. All right, can you give some hopium to the audience that absolutely bullies me every day about this Southeast Asian Uber that can't?
I don't know, dude.
I can't catch a bid.
I don't know. I don't know. It sucks because it's like people always remember you for that one thing that didn't really work out too. Like Rubrik, like I thought that I didn't think we were going to come back to these levels, but we apparently did. And the thesis hasn't really changed. In fact, the thesis got better. You know, so I would just say,
before we get to grab it, is Rubrik a buy to you here? Like you just think?
Yeah, Rubrik is a buy. I mean, I'm not buying because it's already a pretty big business for my portfolio. But I think it's very attractive. It's just that all cybersecurity and software right now is just not doing it. Like IGV is red in the day, right? So it's still the picks and shovels right now. So there's like you can't really do anything about it. It's a picks and shovels still, and it's gonna. I thought that it was going to make the transition from picks and shovels into software sometime soon, but it's not today. I mean, you were even talking about one of the top picks for that sell side firm is ServiceNow, right? ServiceNow is a very profitable software company that's growing at like near 20%, and it's a sticky as hell product. Like it's not going anywhere, but the stock market doesn't agree, right? So it like whenever that stuff happens, like you need like a real catalyst to bring this back up, right? But if you look at all of software, it is none of it has been doing great lately. It's all been like picks and shovels or Zeta.
Here's my thesis on Grab. I have a position. You have a position as well.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, it's a waiting game. And the problem with the waiting is that everyone's impatient, including myself, right? I think there's two simple solutions, and we have to say it over and over again, but it is what it is. With everything running up high beta and you're in something that's not running, you have to decide, do you double down and just hold it and not look at it because you think the day of reckoning is coming, or you get the hell out? And with me, I've decided I want to keep it. That doesn't mean you can hyper analyze it every day, because unfortunately it's not as good of a company and as exciting of a company as Palantir. When Palantir was $6, $7, the reason I was able to make 2,000 videos on it, 3 videos a day for 2 years, is because there was so much to analyze. With the Grab, there's just not. There's a decent amount of components of the business, but it's not like every single day you have to keep bringing it up. So, I mean, how are you thinking about it? Because I've just decided it's part of my portfolio. I just don't care anymore. It's a good amount. At this point, it's already been there for a year, so I'm going to let it be there because I believe in the business. Or are you thinking, hey, do you cut some of it and move on to something else?
I don't think it's a lot of other things in our portfolio have went up so much in the last 12 months that it's not as big of a position as it used to be, right? So when I started building it was a pretty decent sized position. And when it was in like $6 range, like I was trimming a lot of the leaps and whatever. So now it's just basically shares at this point. And if the market continues to go up and Grab is left behind, like it's going to be such a small part of the portfolio that it's like, well, I still believe in the thesis. I like being part of an owner of the company, right? I like owning part of the company. It's a great company. And there will be a day when it's going to run up, but it's like, is it the time to buy leaps on it right now? Not for me. Like, I just feel like when it comes to option execution, like timing matters a lot. And I can't just sit here and be like, you know what? Grab, this is going to be the year for Grab, because I thought last year was the year for Grab and it wasn't. And it was maybe it was a fake out or whatever it was, but like I certainly got faked out. I did not think that it was going to come all the way back down to sub $5 after running to $6.50. Like I thought that, but I was actually thinking about this for the last week, actually, since the beginning of the year, was that like, if I take a look at all the stocks in my portfolio that are like moving up dramatically this year, a lot of them have something in common and to warrant its re-rating, right? They're either expanding margins or they're growing revenue, or they're either expanding margins, they're re-accelerating revenue, or they're part of a massive secular theme, right? If I look at Semiconductor, they're basically going to bottom out their revenue growth next quarter, right? So it's going to be negative revenue growth next quarter, but it's basically going to be bottomed out and we're going to head toward 10 to 12% revenue growth. So that coupled with expansion of its margins on an operating basis as well, this is the reason why price targets get hiked, because their fundamentals get better and better and better. So if you look at Grab, and I'm not saying I'm going to sell Grab because of this, I'm still going to hold on to it, but they're consistently executing every single quarter, right? But are they going from like 20% growth to like 30%? Are they rapidly increasing their profitability to a point where it's like, whoa, this company is like becoming like 30% free cash flow margin, 30% net margin? It's like, if that's not happening in this current market, it doesn't care about it, right?
Yeah.
Unless it's like an everything rally. If it's an everything rally, then everything's going to rally, right? But if you don't have that, I think a lot of big money out there is like, well, why would I own this company when I could like own something else that's like running and outperform year to date versus like a steady compounder? Because I think right now it's like these fund managers, they had a crappy year last year, or they didn't beat the market last year. So they really want to beat the market this year, and they want to be in things that are moving. So if a company's missing that, I thought it was Rubik and it wasn't, then they're just not going to buy it. And the only way for a stock to move up is if those buyers become very aggressive. There's always one buyer for every seller and one seller for every buyer, but like the buyers need to be aggressive for the stock to move up.
No, look, I agree. And I think there's a lot of bull arguments around institutional money coming in as well. 84% float. You got the Howard Marks of the world, the Bridgewaters of the world. But to your point, the re-rating is going to take a different level of growth, which they showed a good chunk of last year. But this year, I think that guidance is going to be really important. Can they guide for something like that again? If they don't, it's dead money and it probably isn't worth people's capital. But if they show 30, 35% growth, they're going to be doing $1 billion plus in every quarter in 2026. I don't think it deserves to trade at a 12 billion EV. So I agree with you. It's not a space team. It's not nuclear. It's not quantum. It's not in one of those things that has a lot of excitement. I don't know why it ran to 650 2 months ago. That still makes me very skeptical. Like, what was happening there? How was it being repositioned? But I think the thesis is simple. If you don't want it to be an opportunity cost, just like PayPal, even though I think they're a better company than PayPal in terms of growth, you get rid of it. But if not, then you just leave it in the corner and you don't look at it knowing that hopefully it's bottomed. And I don't think we're going, back to
this is the issue I'm currently running into with Adobe, is that it's not expanding in anything meaningfully, right? They're growing at like around 10%. They're going to be continuing growing around 10%, which is great. They're still keeping their free cash flow margins. They're around a rule of 51, I think, but it's not going anywhere. I thought I caught the bottom. I guess I didn't. Seeing the market run like 1% plus the other day and seeing Adobe down like 5%, I was like, you kidding me? Like, am I going to become an Adobe bag holder? I don't know. Like, so I've been like really like thinking about this, and I'm like, is this really the point when I cut my losses? Because this is fairly new to me, right? Like I've only bought Adobe like less than a couple months ago. So is this like really it? Like do I make decisions like this in 2026 to cut certain things, not because I'm bearish on it, because it's not bullish enough for me, or
Right.
I'm not that strong in my conviction for it. Because I'm starting to think, like, was I excited about Adobe because it was going up and it was bouncing hard, or was I excited about Adobe because of its fundamentals, right? So, and when I started looking more, oh, go ahead.
I'm just so happy you said that, because there are some names in the portfolio that we all have that are not going up, but we actually don't want to cut them for more high beta or more like volatility, because we already got a shit ton of volatility. I'm sure my portfolio has a ton of volatility. Your camera's up, by the way.
I know. Hold on.
If you can't get it back, that's okay. The audio is fine. But like sometimes you want to keep the names that you know are relatively stable and not lean into more of the volatility. But it does create FOMO when OSS is up 40% in a day and you know you're not in it, or any other random stock is up 40%. You're in basically a stable coin, which is Adobe, Grab, etc. But it also might be the thing that protects you when shit hits the fan. Now, will shit hit the fan?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, I mean, that's the problem with Grab, is that when shit's hitting the fan, it hits the fan with the Grab too. But when shit doesn't hit the fan, it just stays there. And it's like, dude, what in the world? Like, come on. Like, it goes down when the market's down, but it doesn't go up when the market's going back up. It's like, is Grab become the new PayPal? I really hope not. I really hope it's not become the new PayPal, because that would really suck.
I will say, the last thing on this, I will say, I think it's being manipulated right now. I really don't think you get 1 billion shares traded in September, then it comes all the way back down to $5, below $5. Like, I really do think there's some shady shit going on, but I'm going to give it until earnings to see, you know, what the company guides, and we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll see. I can be patient with it, so it's fine. It's fine.
Breaking news: Trump, effective immediately, any country doing business with the Islamic Republic of Iran will pay a tariff of 25% on any and all businesses being done with the United States of America. This order is final and conclusive. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Okay, Sam, raw reaction.
I don't know. I mean, what countries do business with Iran that we do?
Yeah, what countries do business with Iran? I mean, outside of oil.
Is it singling out China? Does China do business with Iran? I don't know.
Dude, did he get bored of talking about freaking credit cards and he went back to tariffs? So China has 36% of their reported exports and imports. They're a dominant buyer of crude oil. Oh, he's definitely talking about China and Russia right now.
Yeah, it's China. I don't know. Same story. Same SHIT, different day. Who else does?
Let me ask Gemini. What countries do businesses with Iran? China, the UAE, Turkey, India, and Brazil are the major importers. China's at 35%. Iraq also does business with them. Oil is the number one thing that they get.
BRICS,
baby. BRICS.
Well, I don't like that for Mercado Libre.
How are you interpreting the Trump volatility that we've seen? He's talking about Fannie and Freddie. He's talking about defense contractors, talking about no buybacks, talking about Iran tariffs, credit card rates. Like, is this something that the market's just going to have to get used to again as the midterms come up?
Dude, yeah, the freaking midterms are coming up. Like, he is going to do whatever he can to get that minority vote for all of his people. He will. I feel that SoFi is getting like locked into this stuff. Like, it's just like, why are you targeting SoFi? Like, I don't know.
What are your thoughts right now on SoFi? Do you think this one? I mean, SoFi. I mean, look, I know SoFi's grown better than Grab, but SoFi's basically been stuck between 24 and 27 for almost 4 months. Like, do you think this one gets the breakout?
I think when it does, it'll break out. But yeah, it's in a massive range here. It's in a massive range. I think you got to wait for earnings probably, and it's probably going to sell off in earnings, even though they're good, like it always does. It's like every single quarter, it's like it always sells off in earnings. It's like, what is your problem, guys? Why do you keep selling this thing off in earnings? But I mean, Anthony Noto is a very respectable CEO. I was actually watching the that golf thing that they have in their stadium that they built, the virtual golf thing, and I felt bad, but I'm just like, dude, who would want to watch this crap? But then I was sitting there watching it the whole time. I'm like, well, I guess this is the reason why it's doing good. But yeah, it's my partnership to the NFL.
I finally bought SoFi this year, like actually bought it.
Okay.
And so
That's good.
The covered call premiums are great, but this thing really is stuck in a range. It got to 29.80 when I was in Vegas. I was like, oh wow, these like we're actually making a move, and then it right back down to 26 the next day.
If you zoom out to the weekly chart, it looks like a massive bull flag.
Well, yes, but also I think that there's going to be a moment where Noto says something on the earnings, either around the tech business, Galileo stuff, or around loan originations that really makes the street realize lower rates in the business-friendly environment is good for SoFi. And outside of the technicals, I think that should be enough to get it.
I think it's really loans, so if people start taking out more loans as rates come down, then that's definitely going to be good for their business as long as they can lock in the low rate and make money off the spread. I mean, it's not, I don't know what the valuation on SoFi is, but it's a very competitive business in the US for banking. It for sure is.
What do you think about crypto right here? Do you think there's a world in which like the Clarity Act and certain regulatory frameworks can pump this, or is this all this money just going to gold instead?
I have no idea what's happening with crypto. It's so weird seeing like the market near its all-time highs and crypto is just flattened down. Like I don't get it, other than the fact that, it's probably commodities being chased from a metal standpoint, right? So precious metals, silver, gold, copper, all those are like just continuing to plow higher. Like gold does not stop going up, which is pretty insane. Also, Jason was talking about FCX, Freeport, and that one, they're not only a miner in copper, they're also a miner in all the other metals too. It's like, dude, they're really going for these stocks. Like if you looked at it, actually, let's see GDX.
Dude, don't remind me about FCX. Me and my uncle spent like a week doing DD on this. We almost bought it because we were like, oh, copper miners, great. And then we chickened out at the end. Massive move. Massive
crazy
move,
dude. And those options were cheap too. So if you look at GDX too, yeah. If you look at GDX too, gold miners, those are ripping. So usually when it comes to miners, they usually rip up after the underlying or after the metal has made its massive move. So I think I would think that gold was going to trade sideways and the miners would keep going up, but it looks like they're both going up because that's the difficulty with miners is that people think it's going to be a catch-up trade. But I mean, it's been catching up for a long time. Like there are a lot of people that have made so much money off of this and like didn't even have to worry about buying like NVIDIA or anything. They're just making money off this stuff. So, I mean, this is just another one of those winners that will just continue to win.
So overall for this year, and I'll link Sam's Twitter right here so everyone can please make sure to follow him on X. If you've been watching the channel, I'm pretty sure you know who Sam is by now. Overall, you think it's going to be a stock picker's market. You think the semis, metals, drone stocks, defense, energy continue to be the thematics to play into, which I think then begs the question, are you still bullish on Mag 7 this year?
Yeah, no, I'm bullish Mag 7. I don't think these companies are going anywhere. They're just taking a field day for a minute. I mean, well, actually, Google's at all-time highs, so, not every Mag 7's winning, but I don't know. I think Meta will have its day one time. It just needs a crazy catalyst. I thought today might be a catalyst with its 10% headcount cut for Reality Labs, but I guess it's not. Market didn't care about that. Google's slowly coming toward its all-time high. Has been for some time, so that's good to see. I still think this is the year. Sorry, did I say Google? I mean Amazon. I think this is the year Amazon hits $300, in my opinion. But I also think this is the year that Apple hits 400. Wait,
400 for Apple?
300. My bad, 300. So I think this is the year that Apple.
Dan Ives on Apple.
No, dude, I'm never going to be like extremely bold up on Apple, but I do think that it has a massive. It owns the handheld device market and the mobile device market. It owns that market, and I mean Tesla OS is the Apple of cars, right? So you have your leadership when it comes to certain devices, certain autos, whatever it is. And Apple will always be the leader until like some other crazy operating system comes up, but it's just Android, right? So I don't know if there's really any competition when it comes to Apple.
I got to bring up a stock. It's going to be a little bit of a sore subject for you, but I'm curious how you're thinking of it right now. Are we going long Micron?
No, I missed out on that one. Actually, I sold too early.
But it's still cheap, Sam. We know it's still cheap. But can you morally just not do it?
I just morally can't do it. I mean, I already made a lot of money off it when I was buying the calls, and I gave a little bit back when I was trying to buy the inverse of this thing. I immediately sold the inverse of it the next day. I was like, that was a stupid decision, but I'm going to keep that green for me overall. I don't know if I'm going to chase it. There's actually one that caught a lot of a bid today, Pure Storage.
Yeah.
So that one's been interesting because that one has not been participating in it until today. So it is nice to see that one about 8% today.
But that's not a HBM type of play, is it?
Yeah, it's not a high bandwidth memory, but they have to do with RAM, right? So it's still part of that memory sector, and it's been consolidating since last December after it dropped after the most recent earnings. So that one could be making another headway up. But I already have my picks and shovels company, and that's on Semiconductor and Amcor. So I don't think I'm going to be adding another one to that one. They've been performing pretty well amid today's little breather moment. But I mean, if there has to be one to pick, so you have Pure Storage, you have Micron that are in the memory sector that are part of the U.S., part of its onshoring plan. So those two could continue bidding up. But if I had to pick one between those, like as far as like a double would go, it'd probably more Pure Storage because the market is already being caught on with Micron. But, I don't want to sit here and tell you Micron's not going to continue going up. I think if we stay in a bull market, it'll probably still go up. But, you already had a triple at this point. So it can keep going up. But, never mind. I don't want to say it because I feel like I'm just being salty at this point. What about Lam Research is an interesting one. Lam Research has been a very interesting one.
I think Jose likes Lam Research.
Yeah, he does. That one.
I still don't really know what they do. But see, this one's up 23%. This one's I feel like my thesis is the fund managers realized they missed out so badly last year on the semis because they were so bearish that it was cyclical. And in the January 1st, they were like, we are going balls to the wall semiconductors because this story is not slowing down, and we'll worry about it in 2027. Do you think that's kind of what's happening with the semiconductor names this year?
There's obviously a lot of money to be spent. I think it's just a matter of knowing where it's going to be spent sometime soon. I think the onshoring theme is going to continue being the theme for a long time. Because if you look at it, they're already there's that tariff deal that's going to happen with TSM, with Taiwan and the US, where TSM has to build 5 additional factories in the US, right? So in order to have that 15% tariff rate. First of all, I didn't even know that there had to be a tariff deal with Taiwan. I thought that was already the deal anyway, but I guess this is more bullish for it. But I guess look down the list of the building of materials for all semiconductors built in the U.S., namely Blackwell for now. See who has their hands in that, right? So then you have Micron, obviously, is a big contributor for supplies for Blackwell, which is probably the reason why it's getting bid up so much. TSM, of course, puts everything together, or actually fabricates all these chips. Amcor packages and tests out these chips too, and that's definitely a beneficiary of it. So I'm surprised that Amcor was not up today from this news. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, AMD is probably going to come back. I'm surprised this is probably just consolidating right now.
Is there any semi name besides ON and Amcor that, I'm looking at AMD a little more seriously now. I would like it below 200, but is there any of the names that are catching your eye?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still on Semiconductor. On Semiconductor is one of the power chips. Oh, besides that one?
Yeah.
I haven't. I think this is a time when I need to be pretty patient with what I have. I think I'm in the good themes for the year, and I think I already built a lot of my positions toward the end of last year. So I think this is a year that I need to be patient. And plus, I'm honestly trying to focus on the social media game. I'm trying to grow my show, the Solid Report. So that you already know, this stuff takes a lot of time, right?
It does. It definitely does.
Content creation takes a lot of time. You're streaming twice a day, I'm having trouble trying to find my stuff, but I'm also trying to make sure that the things that I'm in, the theme is still relevant. I think I'm positioned pretty good. We'll see.
Well,
there is Marvell, which isn't catching a bid either.
The research takes a lot of time, and when you make a real position in your portfolio, you don't want it to just, if you're doing it as a trade, it's whatever, but if you're actually going to hold it, the research matters, right? Your conviction matters. And it's tough to have a ton of research on this stuff. SKYT, you like this one?
Dude.
I think some people like this. You can't hide your picks, bro. You're a social media guy now. Now you're done. Dude,
I've been calling this one out, man. I'm so pissed.
59%. When did you get in? Last year or this year?
I did not get in. I did not get in this stock. So
shit.
I was talking about this on my show for a little bit, and this was like in the $15 range, and it went from like 17 to 16 or whatever. I'm like, you know what? I will have my time where I'm going to buy this in the low teens, right? I even had a Twitter post about it. And of course, it basically doubles, and I'm like, wow.
Isn't that the story of the market this year? The story of the market this year, if you're waiting for a dip, you're not getting it. Now, patience is a virtue. And eventually that patience might pay off. But so far, if you've wanted a dip, like,
yeah.
I mean, like even with Zeta, right? People wanting to dip back to 2120. It's just not happening yet. And maybe it happens. You got to be patient, but like it's not there yet.
I think that the floor is being built on Zeta right now. So, you know, if you were looking at Zeta, or no, let's take SkyT, for example. I was looking at SkyT at 15. It just like mentally, if this thing drops back to low 20s, like I'm going to look at it and be like, oh, well, I could have bought it at 15. So maybe I'll wait a little bit longer. Then it's going to rip up. Like it already created the floor, right? So same thing could be said for Nebius, right? So people missed Nebius at 25 and then they saw it 7. I was like, it's probably going to go lower. And then it just rips up back higher. It's like, you know, I think at a certain point, you got to be like willing to buy something off the quote unquote dip that it had, right? If you look at Iran, it's still not at 75, right? It's only at $50. I would even say when Iran was in $30, people probably thought I was going to go to 20. I thought I was going to go to 20 and it didn't, but it's fine because I already had a position. Oh, that's the reason why my camera said its internal temperature is too high.
You're spitting some hot content.
Yep. Dialing.
All right. So let's do 5 more minutes. If you guys have any questions in the chat, we'll do some rapid fire for Sam. Then we'll get him out of here. Again, his Twitter is there in the chat. You can check him out on YouTube as well. He streams every day, 1 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah, somewhere before. Somewhere like around 2:45. I usually start streaming, and I usually end like around before the market close. I can't do the market close, man. I tried to do the market close last week, and I'm like, how does it keep up with all this stuff? You're playing like CNBC here, you're playing these clips here, you're talking about this news here. Like as soon as news comes out, you start talking about it. It's like, how does this guy do this? And you're clicking everything. I'm like slurring words left and right. I can't even keep up. Kudos, man. Kudos.
Look, when I started 3 years ago, it wasn't, it wasn't to the point where it is today. So it just takes time. And so the more you keep doing the show, the more you're going to get. And then you'll trip over your words and people will say you can't pronounce things. So like it'll be a journey. AHER. I know Roy's into that. Do you like the air test systems?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. It is favorable price action you're seeing right now because then let's see, is it still down in the low 20s?
It's up almost 30% this year.
Oh, it was like 20. It was in the 20s when I looked at it last time. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I believe this one is also US as well. Probably the reason why it has those stripes over there. So this is part of that onshoring theme. I got to be honest, I haven't really looked further into just its financials and just reading the name and some high level DD on it. So I haven't really dug too much into it. But this is something that's been interesting to me for a while. Roy's into this one.
This is one of those names I might buy just so when Roy is bragging when it's $50, I'm like, I'm with you, bro. I'm in.
This just seems like
I have no idea what they do. Like,
yeah, this seems like one of those names that'll be $50 before you know it. It seems like.
Cap? See, dude, I've noticed a trend. A lot of us are realizing the alpha and the beta, the alpha is in the high beta, aka the small market cap. This is under $1 billion. Like, I mean, Amazon's just kind of boring. It's a great long, but it's like, it's not going to go up 25% year to date. Now, the risk is obviously, the small caps could go down 25% unless it's a good small cap. So I don't know. Maybe it's just the theme of January, or maybe small caps actually are the theme for 2026.
Yeah. I mean, look at the volume from yesterday. That's some insane volume. It's actually the largest amount of volume.
Even Zeta, dude, their volume used to be 4 million. Their volume's now almost 8 million every day. Like, so air test systems, all these names are getting more attention because I think people are looking.
Yeah, that's something to definitely look at. If you look at Semiconductor, it had its like largest volume in a year in the end of December, and it's just been plowing up since then. So, just keep an eye on the volume for a lot of this stuff. Like, it really matters when it comes to a lot of these companies. Semiconductor is not a small company. It's a $24 billion market cap. So Definitely not a small company like AEHR. What's SkyT at? SkyT is, yeah, it's less than 2 billion. That's crazy amount of volume it had in the last week. Yeah, the volume doesn't lie.
It's a small cap start to this year, which makes sense given the January effect. But this stuff continuing, I think, would be really important. Any updated thoughts on BM&R? People are asking.
I don't know. If crypto doesn't go up, this isn't going up. That's it. And no one can predict the price of crypto. I don't care who you are. No one can predict where crypto is going. So,
Archer, like this one.
you know, the whole pilotless helicopter, or what are those
eVTOL?
things called? Yeah, the
eVTOLs.
whole eVTOLs. I don't know. I just can't really get into it. I haven't really looked too much into it. Is it ACHR? Yeah, ARCH or ACHR?
You never get the ticker. ACHR. Yeah.
Yeah, because not ACH. No, ARCH is also Archer, but it's not the same one.
I was saying it's Archer.
Yeah, I mean, Shai does a lot of research in this entire thing, but I think the pick for this was really Joby. It wasn't Archer. There's like a difference between those two. I think
They're both
Yeah,
up 50% year to date.
that's insane. I don't know. Some of these names are moving, but you got to remember these don't make money. They don't make money. In fact, I think some of them are pre-revenue, but it's a $14 billion company, Joby, ACHR, $7 billion company. Like, I don't know. It's a little worrisome when you have some of these companies in like almost double digit market cap in terms of billions and like they're not making any money. I don't know. That just kind of worries me. Like at least with ASTS, like they actually have the signed contracts with these large OEMs or businesses, Verizon. Yeah. Like,
but Archer does have a $5 billion backlog. So they do have potential revenue.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I don't really know about.
ASTS, are you in this one? Up 32% this year? Or
No, I'm not in it anymore. I made a decent amount of money off of it. When it was like in $70 range, I'm like, I mean, it already tripled since I bought it. So I don't know if I could be in this one anymore. It was more of a trade than anything. So, you know, certain things you got to get in. You got to know whether it's a trade or not. And if it's not a trade, if it's something long-term, then just hold it, right? So, you know, some people could have sold Grab at 6.5 and been like, oh, nice, that was a good one, right? But that wasn't a trade for me. Certain things are trades.
dude, when Grab was 6.5, I was feeling like I was like 35% on the year. It was also close to the end of the year. It was September. I was like, just got to the finish line real quick before the year ended, and then
Could have just held on to it. It didn't. Said it drops like 30%. I don't know why. Like I don't know why. You know, and even when it was $6.5, like it wasn't even. It was still kind of. It was a little more fair value, but it certainly wasn't overvalued at all. And like they sold the thing back to being undervalued.
it was a 25 billion market. Like it was the other problem is I think the reason people are pissed off on Grab is because retail obviously comes into a name after it makes a really big move. Like I'm guilty of that as well. So probably a lot of people bought at $6 and they're upset right now, and I get it. But like, you know, I was talking about it at 470. I'm not saying it's up that much since then, but it's not like the type of massive bag holding that some people have. But it sucks. And my fear is that a lot of these names that are getting bid up right now, do they create bag holders going into February, March? Because it could get ugly if that happens.
I would feel bad about being a bag holder if the company was burning money and wasn't profitable. Like,
100%.
Then I would be like, okay, I'm a bag holder, right? But like, I don't feel like a bag holder with Grab. It's a great company, right? So you have like a lot of emerging market stocks that have been just chilling lately. Baba made a 10% move today, right? So that one could have been a bag holder, but it wasn't. It's actually a great company in China. Now, do we believe these numbers are real? I don't know, but at least Grab's not in China, so different story.
That's fair. It's very fair. All right, there we go. Thank you, Mr. Sam, for joining the show. Again, Sam's Twitter, I will link in the chat. We will have him on as a reoccurring guest all throughout 2026. Did you do anything for New Year? Just spend time with the family?
Spend time with the family. I was in Florida for a week. Otherwise, I would have went to CES. That would have been cool.
Well, I'm going to see you in New York, right? You come to the meetup?
Yeah, no, I'm going to be there February 1st. I'll be there beforehand too, so we can all like do whatever. I'll be there on the 30th of this month.
Perfect. Hit me up. We're hanging out on the 31st.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, everyone's gonna be together. Is Matt going?
Matt, Chris, Steve.
Oh, Matt is going. Nice. Steve. Well, of course, Steve is going. He's got to show me this pizza place he's talking about.
Gonna show us the pizza place. So
Yeah.
should be fun. All right, Sam. Thank you. Appreciate it, man. We will catch you next time.
Cheers, dude.
Later. All right. There you go. That's what we got today on the market close. Back in the studio. Sam's a good guy. But I agree with a lot of the stuff that he was talking about. Once again, it's a thematic year, and that thematic, whether it's space, defense, etc., is catching a bid, or certain sectors, certain names in those sectors are catching a bid. And it's a question of how much risk exposure do you want to it. So, I mean, today was the first day I actually took some real risk with the name like OSS. Again, I really don't think people should FOMO into it. This will probably give you an opportunity to get in cheaper. It's a small cap. S&P goes down 2%. This thing could easily fall back to $7-8. But if you do a little bit of reading on it, I do think the narrative is very compelling. And by the way, the narrative is compelling on a lot of the other names that have run up, like a Zeta or a Bloom Energy or an Ondas. Like, even if you hate the valuations on them, OSS, I actually do think the valuation is reasonable. An EOSC valuation's aggressive, but it has a hell of a narrative. And if those narratives manifest at all, I mean, even Archer, right? They're not selling giveaways yet, but they have $5 billion in backlog, trading at $7 billion. If they actually put up a couple $1 billion in revenue soon, it's going to be trading at 2 times sales. It's not going to be that expensive. So I think the divergence is going to be between which companies live up to their narratives and which companies are all hype. And honestly, a lot of the names that are running, I don't think they're all hype. Like, it really doesn't feel like the weed stocks in 2020. Some of them for sure, but like a lot of them, there is a real tangible thing you can look at there and come together and form a narrative on. Which is why I think there's more, more, even Oklo, which has been a lot of hype. I mean, they got to deal with Meta. If Meta's going to give them a couple billion, then boom, that is something where the narrative can translate into reality. Where's Big Bear? We haven't looked at Big Bear in a while. Big Bear 631. This is up 2%. Now, again, a lot of these high beta names have not really run this year, like a Hood. Big Bear year to date is up. Big Bear's up 12%. It's not like it hasn't made a move. But they're gonna have to put up the earnings to kind of continue seeing more of that excitement. Are we buying Virgin Galactic? Do people still talk about this stock? Is this the space play? Is this up this year? No, it's down 2%. All right. So even though the space names are moving, this one is not moving. Yeah, Applied Digital, ton of that stuff. Photo shared by Lindsey Graham at an event supporting regime change in Iran shows a group of public figures wearing Make Iran Great Again hats. Oh boy. Oh boy. Again, the Wall Street Journal reported that Trump is thinking of striking. Vance is, this is per the Wall Street Journal, trying to convince him to use diplomacy here. I feel like Trump is going to strike. I think he feels like he was able to pull it off in Venezuela, and he's going to try again. But, I mean, who knows? This was Lindsey Graham yesterday talking about Iran.
President Trump has chosen wisely to be with the protesters. He's the first president since 1979 to pick the people over the Ayatollah. President Trump says, if you continue to kill your people, all hell will break out, all hell to pay. That's as strong as when Reagan said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. President Trump is not Obama. He picked the people over the Ayatollah. Here's what's going to happen. We got to make action match the words. I'm looking for action, not an invasion, that will do three things. Be a game changer. The people will be emboldened. The Ayatollah will be deterred. If we don't create deterrence after whatever action we take, we made a mistake. If the protesters are not stronger after the action we take, we've made a mistake. So we're in a spot now. This is the biggest deal since the fall of the Berlin Wall.
If that's the sentiment in the White House, that this is the biggest deal since the fall of the Berlin Wall, I mean, Trump's going to want to get the military involved. I don't see how he doesn't. Now, maybe there's an offer that's good enough for them to avoid that. But I think he's going to see it as an opportunity. That's what my gut tells me. I could obviously be wrong, but based on how he's been even talking about it, it does feel like that could be something where we have to pay attention to, because it could obviously affect the markets. Tess says, my television must be listening to mid advertising. The Big Lebowski has me howling. Dude, it's a fantastic movie, The Big Lebowski. For those that haven't seen it, 1998 classic. By the way, if you want to know what I ate for lunch today, you can follow me on Instagram. Put the link in the chat. It was a phenomenal lunch. Honestly, the lunch was better than The Big Lebowski. Like, the experience of eating that lunch versus watching that movie, way better. So you can check my Instagram story. A lot of you already responded to it in a predictable way, to be honest. I'll say that. It was predictable, your response. But it was a good lunch. Why would I want to know what you had for lunch? Because all of us talk about what we had for lunch. Put in the chat what you had for lunch. I feel like we all randomly talk about what we have every other day. Except breakfast, because I don't eat breakfast. Oh boy. I'm trying to see more of these Iran headlines. Bessent urged some foreign finance ministers about increasing their supply chain resiliency. Dude, they better not be getting ready for some crazy geopolitical shit, because that could easily slow us down. Then again, oh, is Bessent talking right now? There's a bunch of quotes coming. Then again, maybe the market's faded. Is Bessent live? We haven't heard from Bessent in a while. I miss Bessent. It's all been freaking Lutnick and Hassett and freaking, what's the other guy? What's the other dude that talks a lot? Well, Navarro was back in December. He was on more. Okay, these quotes from Bessent. Bessent expressed optimism that nations will pursue prudent de-risking over decoupling, and they understand the need to remedy current deficiencies in critical minerals and supply chains. Oh yeah, Rubio's the guy. Bessent urged foreign finance ministry about increasing their supply chain resilience. Bessent expresses that decoupling is wrong. Okay, so you got Bessent saying a ton of different things around making sure all countries work together. Oh, wow. Here's a couple of headlines from Wall Street Journal. Trump unhappy about Pam Bondi's performance. Trump has complained repeatedly to aides. Now, that could be fake. We have the headline where Trump hated Kash Patel, and they took a picture together and said that's not true. Pam Bondi's been doing everything this guy wants. How could he be unhappy about her? Literally everything he's wanted, she's done. I mean, like, I don't know how you can't get a better glazer than Pam Bondi when it comes to an attorney general. So I wonder what he's upset about there. Let's see what other headlines we have. She's blonde. She's safe. She's not arrested anybody yet. I mean, dude, could you guys imagine if Jay Powell goes to jail? Could you actually imagine if Trump puts Jerome Powell in jail? I don't know how the country is going to, I mean, you're going to have some people that are like, yeah, he should be in jail. He spent too much money on the renovations. But goodness gracious, dude, the amount of money we waste in this country, Jay Powell is the one that goes to jail over wasting money. We've had a lot of presidents and a lot of executives in this country waste money. I think it would be kind of wild if we actually see Powell in jail, which I don't think is going to happen, but man, it would be something if that takes place. And again, you have a lot of people coming in support of Powell, hoping that that's not going to be the case. So we have a bunch of headlines today. Trump has a deal with Taiwan potentially. Got Trump potentially mad at Bondi. You have Bessent saying that we need to stop decoupling. You have OpenAI buying a company called Torch for a healthcare to increase their healthcare ecosystem. You got Apple partnering with Google. You have Meta getting ready to start a cloud business. And then the other major headline, obviously, was Jay Powell being investigated by the DOJ. A little bit of a busy day. The absolute best show on earth. All right. That is it for me. We will have a daily recap today. We're going to get back to daily recaps. Will be the first one of 2026. So we'll make sure we recap everything in that episode. The NVIDIA interview stuff should be coming out next week, or should be coming out in like a couple days. I think that's pretty much it. We'll have market close tomorrow, technical Tuesday. We have earnings Wednesday, Thursday. I think that's it for this week. Nothing too crazy. I'm going with Steve to this card convention on Saturday. I forgot I was doing that. So that'll be fun. Seeing how people, and Steve was saying we should live stream from there. So I think we're just going to live stream on Steve's phone. And I've never been to this, so it'll be new for me, but we'll show people what a card convention looks like. Maybe we can get Steve negotiating with someone to buy a card. That'll be fun. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I said card convention. I meant card convention, like collectible cards. Also, tomorrow I'm doing two spaces. I'm doing a spaces at 12:45 with Iliano, Greg Little, who works at Palantir, and a couple other people. We're gonna be talking about defense. And then at 8 p.m., I'll be doing the spaces with Adam, aka GoCarp, and we're gonna be talking about Venezuela, Palantir, and a lot of the different events that have been happening that Maven is potentially the backbone for. So we'll have 2 Twitter spaces tomorrow, market open, market close tomorrow. And then Wednesday we have earnings. Back into the schedule. TSM does not have earnings this week. I'm pretty sure that's next week. TSM has earnings. Do they have earnings this week? No, they should have earnings this week, right? Oh, it is on Thursday. We do have TSM this week. Okay, that'll be a big one then. Why spaces and not YouTube? They want to do spaces. So we're just doing spaces. Yeah, Thursday, 2 a.m. Oh, and CPI. Dude, CPI is tomorrow. That means I got to be early. We got to start the show at like 8:20. Because the CPI is at 8:30. Let me set my alarm right now. Siri, can you wake me up at 8 a.m. tomorrow? Okay, so I should be up before 8 a.m., but if I'm not, we'll be there at 8:20. No one uses Siri. Dude, that's the only use case for Siri. Literally, I just tell her to set my alarms. That's it. No phone case. No, I took it off. I had the phone case in Vegas. And I was like, you know what? My phone's not meant for a case. It's meant to live on the edge. Dude, you know Morgan is doing a new show on CNBC at 5 a.m.? I mean, she'll get me up out of bed at 5 a.m. every day, bro. Goodness gracious. I can't watch her because I usually do my show at the same time she does the show because she used to do the show at 4 p.m. But now she's up at 5 a.m. I mean, look, I love Frank Holland, but Morgan's going to get me up out of bed at 5 a.m. to watch the news. It's going to happen every day. Every day now. She's gorgeous. She's actually gorgeous. My phone just set alarm for 8 a.m. I forgot. I pressed the button to hold it down. I forgot you just say, hey, and then the thing, and then it triggers. I forgot you could do that. How much did you win in Vegas? I won nothing in Vegas. I lost $600. But Zeta went up when I was in Vegas. And so that's what made the week more fun. But I lost some money. Where did you buy SoFi? I mean, average? Average is like $26.90, $27. It's called 27. But if you're saying where, I mean, like, I bought it on Robinhood, if that's the question. So I'm down on it with a 27. It's a 27, but I really do think this is a $30 stock after earnings. I just don't know. It's SoFi. I mean, at the end of the day, SoFi. It's been range bound for a long time, so we're gonna have to see if that happens. How much did you spend at the strip club? We did not go to the strip club. The most fun we had was going out to dinner. Realistically, that's what we did. We went out to dinner. We drank. I mean, the last night, Thursday, was the most fun because that's when I actually got drunk. Like I didn't get drunk the other nights. That night dude, I don't know how I did the market open on Friday. Like I met Triple V the Friday evening, and he was just like, I don't know how the hell you got up, because he woke up at like 12. I think he had a couple more glasses than me. And I really thought I would be able to just straight up say, guys, I had a hangover. There's no way I could do it. But something jolted me up out of bed at 5 a.m. I got home at 3, probably slept at 3:30. I wasn't even going to sleep. I was like, let me just stay up for 2 hours because I have the show in like a couple hours. But I ended up falling asleep. I got up, and I think it's the Supreme Court thing that really pushed me. I was like, dude, that Supreme Court thing's going to be big news. People are going to care. Like, this is really important. And then the freaking Supreme Court's like, yeah, we're not putting out the decision. But that's definitely what got me up. Definitely got me up. Meta selling off is weird. Yeah, I think Zucks has not convinced the street why he's spending so much on CapEx. This earnings is going to be important, bro. My gut tells me Meta pumps because the earnings are going to be good. It was holiday season advertising, but then I'm like, on the call, he's going to once again say, trust me, bro, around advertising and around CapEx spend. And the Manus acquisition might not be enough. The cloud stuff might not be enough. And if large caps are still getting rotated out of, this thing goes back to 600, which is okay. It would become dirt cheap again. But I just don't easily know if this is a pump just after earnings. But the Q4 is going to be good. Q4 is going to be good. Famous last words, might as well just stay up if I have to be awake in 2 hours. I've done this so many times, and I end up sleeping every time, but I end up waking up right before. But every time, I'm like, I'm going to just stay up. Chris and Steve, I just saw, are doing a Zeta stream tonight, dude. This name is getting a lot of attention. I am trying to find the bear case, guys, because I don't want everyone... Like, the unfortunate truth now is that just with the audience growing the way it does, that's why I'm really careful when I say I like a name. Like, more and more people are going to talk about it. And I'm not the first person to find Zeta or anything like that, but obviously, when you mention a name like this, more people are going to look into it. So I try not to say, like, I bought something if I don't really care about it. Or I try to be really explicit about, hey, I bought it, but it's not like a big position, nothing like that. Zeta I've made into a relatively big position, and now, you know, the stock's gone up, which is good, but I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anything. I think I did about 3 weeks of DD on this one. Yeah, Chris and Steve are going to be talking about it tonight. And I'm trying to see, did I miss it? Can we get rug pulled in any way? And I don't think we will be. And I really like the CEO, man. I really like him. He gives me the vibes of someone who's just like, screw you, I'm going to win. Like in 2017, to completely say we're going to become unprofitable, but re-architect the business because in 10 years, I know what's going to happen. That's not easy to say to your board of directors. But the best tech companies in the world have taken years of losses to really capitalize on the moment. And I think there's a shot here. And the valuation makes sense. Like, it's not a stupid valuation at all. I'm not an expert on valuations, but I think I know a little bit enough to be like, hey, this is very reasonable. This is not crazy. And I think if you look at the volume profile, it feels like it's being accumulated more than distributed just based on the buyers that are coming in. Now, OSS, I think the valuation is cool, but I don't trust any of the pump that we saw today. It's going to be down 30% tomorrow. But I really like the story, so I took a little bit of a position, and, you know, I'm hoping to add if this thing gets back below $9. But now that a lot of people are finding it, you know, that might not happen. And you got to pick and choose. Just like Sam was saying, right? Like, some names you think they're going to come down and then they just don't, and they get re-rated, and then it's over. Like, then you either have to buy higher or you're out of the name. But I guess going into their earnings, we'll get a lot more data on how these companies perform, especially with Zeta. My average on OSS is like 990. 999. 999. So literally bought it. I think I bought it up 20% today, but then it went up to like another 15%. But if it falls below that, that's when I'd be more interested. Amit just got tickets for the meetup. Awesome, Miko. I will see you there. Again, I'll put the link in the chat. I spent 3 hours yesterday with Jess planning out more stuff. I think it's going to be a fun meetup. We're going to try a bunch of different things at this meetup, and it'll be the guinea pig to see if this works going into the future meetups. But I'm excited. Very, very, very excited. Also, coming back from Vegas and seeing people in person, it just reminds you how important it is to like actually talk to people and like getting to see Dan Ives in person. Like all that, it's more fun when you're actually together with everybody. So I think it'd be good. Yes, we will have name tags for the mods. That's a great idea. We definitely will try to do that. Is Zeta a good price right now? Yes, I think it's a good price, but again, it's up 20% year to date. So this is what Sam was saying. Again, see, the thing is it's January, right? So when you say, is this a good price right now? You have to be thinking, all right, 12 months from now, is this a good price? Because it's already made such a big move. But if it continues to outperform this year, you might not have that juicy dip. Now, then again, the humility of, wait a second, it's freaking January 12th. Like all these names could be down 20%. We could have a liberation. We could have so many things that just wrecks the entire market. And you stay with cash, but that forces you to be more on the sidelines versus be part of the theme. So it's a very confusing question, given it's only been 12 days into the year on, are these names that have gapped up good entries? Objectively, probably not. But for the ones that really deserve the gap up and are not meme stocks, then yeah, you're gonna have to DCA at some point. Yes, we will have a microphone, stage, speaker. The cool thing about actually getting a venue is it's not going to be at some random bar in Miami. It's going to be a legit venue. So we're going to have you're going to get a bell, a little bell. Everyone's going to get a bell as soon as you walk in the door and a mimosa. So we're going to make sure the bells immediately are handed out to everybody. All right, I think that's it. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll have a market close, or market opening close tomorrow. CPI tomorrow, will be there early. Daily recap later today. I think that's it. Palantir earnings officially February 2nd, 2026. So you can put that in your calendar. What's the average age for the meetup? Dude, last time we had an 85-year-old and we had a 19-year-old in Miami. Boston, I remember we had an 84-year-old, and then New York, the first time, I think it was 80, 81 or 82. So there is no age. I mean, realistically, it's a lot of people that are interested in investing regardless of age. I would say if I had to pick an average, I would say 40, maybe late 30s to 40s, probably people. A wife, kids, family. Yeah, dude, Miko was there in the last one. He's the 19-year-old. He was there in the first meetup. I think he was just graduating high school, or he was graduating his freshman year of college. Yeah, it was freshman, because if he's 19 right now, so he's in freshman year of college. I think not NYU, Fordham University, I think, if I remember right. But yeah, so if you care about the markets, that's what matters. Oh, Miko, you're 20 now. If you were 19 back then, okay, so now you're 20. Okay, so you're in your sophomore year of college. That's what you got. Fett says that's sort of the sad when it comes to investing. I wish more young people knew how investing could change their lives. I've been reading a lot more articles about this entire concept. Remember that article that went viral last week about financial nihilism towards the end of 2025? You're getting a lot more people talk about the idea of let me see if I can find this tweet. It had to do with Breaking Bad. That's why it got my attention. But the world is just becoming very unaffordable, and it is not easy to not only make money, but to survive with the expenses that are there. So you kind of have to invest, have to have assets. You have to be part of the system. The system is all rigged, by the way. It's all rigged. $60 trillion in retirement accounts. It can't fail. If it fails, everything's going to fail. So it literally can't rig, which is why you also have to be part of the game. But in the midst of the game being rigged, because every 5 years we raise interest rates, then we lower interest rates, then we print more money, then we get rid of money, the quantitatively tight, quantitatively easy, you have to be part of that ecosystem. You just have to. Because if you're not, it's just like, is it enough to survive in the coming years with the rate of inflation, expenses, et cetera, without having assets? And so I think more and more people are recognizing that being part of the game is important. That's why more and more attention is coming to assets that people can invest in. But it's also creating a lot of leverage, creating a lot of speculation, zero DTE options, levered ETFs. Like, it's also bringing that part of the system, which is something that we can't deny. Bergman will be there. Yes, Adam Bergman will be there. It'll be exciting. He's a good friend of mine as well. Yeah, will Social Security even exist in 40 years, dude? I mean, we're gonna have to see. We are gonna have to see, but regardless, this is why we're all here. This is why we come together every single day. This is why we do what we do, and we will keep this going throughout 2026. Talk about expensive, dude. Hawaii is expensive. I don't know. Hawaii, people argue, is more expensive than San Francisco, which is kind of crazy. But hopefully we do a meetup in Hawaii one day. That would be fun, dude. A meetup in Hawaii. That would be crazy. Maybe one day. Will Jay Cush make an appearance? Probably not. There will be I'm talking to this Wall Street Journal reporter. I told you guys she's trying to do a profile on me and kind of the whole community. So she'll be at the meetup, and she's awesome. Her name is Hannah. And yeah, I think you guys will be able to meet her. I'm actually meeting her later this week, and yeah, she'll be able to talk to her, and she'll be able to get perspectives on retail investors. I'm trying to get some other special guests to join the meetup. I don't know if they'll be able to make it, but some of them are close to New York, and if they could, that'd be really fun. But it should be a good time. It should be a good time. Excited for it. A couple weeks away, and we will keep doing what we got to do as we get through 2026. I'm working on the European meetup. We're trying to get through New York and LA first, but we'll figure out the EU. I know Germany might be a big one. London obviously has got to be a big one, so we're gonna figure out how to make that happen. All right, that's it for me. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the market open daily recap in a couple hours, and yeah, I'll be live tomorrow early. Got CPI, and then we'll keep going from there. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. See you guys tomorrow morning. Bye, everyone.